What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Ketchapali sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online as usual. Almost forgot to put the Mogul hat on for the Mogul update. This is just my portfolio update for Mogul. Yesterday was dividend day. I didn't get this out yesterday. I'm going to go through it today. Actually had some outstanding questions that I got answered from them before I went ahead and did this. So a little bit disappointing again this month. Not to the same extent as last month. Did a little bit better, but actually because I have more properties that are live, my existing portfolio is actually hurting a little more. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to go through each and every one that I have. Some of this I think is seasonal because of the short-term rentals. My largest holding right now is the Axelrod on here, and it is a zero payout this month. They're actually negative levered cash flow, which means that they're taking money from the reserve. If you recall, we have gigantic reserves on a lot of these properties, and this is why, right? When you have a short-term rental, you're often going to have some months where you're not making money. And so, don't love this, but it's somewhat expected with short-term rentals. Although I honestly thought this one would be doing a little bit better than this at this moment. Seeing how we do between now and the end of the year will be really interesting. At least in my market, San Antonio, short-term rentals do really well for November and December. Whether or not that's going to be true in Houston too, I'd expect it to be similar, but I don't know that for sure. So anyway, being that this is my largest position and is a zero for this month, it really dragged down my total average. But if you look at, annualized so far, still have a yield of 6.85%. Not terrible, but obviously I'd like that to be a little bit better overall. The roads, this is one of, the first pad split that I bought. I think this is Mesa, Arizona. It's been just really a great performer all along. Had a very solid month. Average yield on this one, 10.87%. Wish I had bought more of this one, but it was before I was fully comfortable with, I think if this had been up today and I knew what I know about Mogul, I probably would have bought a lot more of it. But, there's a whole bunch that I didn't fully understand about their process as far as how they deal with inspections and whatnot, right? There was a number of small inspection issues that I was worried about with it, and I didn't yet know how they handled those. The WAGs, you'll see there's no update. This is one, I put out a short video about this a while ago. There was a title issue, and this basically got foreclosed by the prior lender. They're filing a claim with the title insurance, and so expect to get paid out for this, but for now it is a zero. We'll see what actually happens with it, but that's the current expected end result. So again, not a great one as far as having another zero in there right away. The Mafi, this has actually been a very very steady performer. It had a couple good months, and then it had August wasn't great, but now it's coming back. Not fully back yet. That's the other thing too. Should always view these memos. Ramping back up. The occupancy is 100%, but we paid some of that. Pad Split has this fee. They take basically the first 10 days of rent when they put someone new in there, and so we're just going through that at the moment. But it is 100% occupied. Trailing, it's almost 10.5% annual yield. Very happy with that one. The Johnson, let's see, how was this one? Yeah, this is a zero, right? This is another, this is an Austin area short-term rental. So none of the short-term rentals in my portfolio are doing well right now. It's not a huge surprise. Again, I think especially back to school time is probably the time with the least travel, and so again, not super surprised that we had a down month. Hopefully it gets back on track. Let's see what their memo says. I think it's just talking about shows slowdown of monthly revenue and a summer seasonality. Yeah. Again, I mean, it's to be expected. It's why we have gigantic reserves on these. Hopefully it's not a long-term trend, but that's why I'm doing this, right? It's just to see. And it's why I haven't put a ton of money on this platform or any of the platforms yet, right? This is an experiment. I'm seeing, how we do. I'm still very happy with Mogul overall. But yeah, my short-term rentals, at least three so far that have been zero revenue, right? The Celeste, this is, let's see, another short-term rental. This one's in Houston. It's not a zero. That's nice, right? We made a little bit of money on this one. Not not a fantastic return, right? But it's not a zero. And so for being that month, I think we're probably doing okay, right? Let's see what the memo says. Yeah, they have that same note about the slowdown. Probably that have a similar note on all of their short-term rentals. The Victor, this is another pad split. Where is this one? In Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see. Yeah, wish I had bought more of this one, right? I mean, I only bought a small piece of this one. It's been very consistent. Look at that annualized yield. 15.69%. That's fantastic. And this is one of the reasons why I am trying to get a pretty broad diversification on here, is so that, some of them underperform, some of them overperform. Hopefully, over time, I'll figure out what my real average cash on cash looks like. Hopefully it doesn't look like what it is this month. But we'll see. I think it makes a lot more sense to look at these numbers on an annual basis. But I still want to give you the updates as they're coming in, right? The Andres, this is another, Decatur, Georgia pad split. It's coming back a little bit. Let's see what this memo says here. Back up, the occupancy is 100% again. Yeah, and this is, again, the fee structure is what's hurting it, right? But so we had some vacancy on this one. I've heard this from a lot of the, pad split changed their fee structure, I think last year. Maybe it was even further back at this point. And a lot of people are moving away from them as a source of new guests or new, their members in that model are called members, not guests or tenants, because it is very expensive to put a new one in there. One of the things I'm planning to ask them during the next, the next webinar that they do is if they're doing anything to attract their own, because even if pad split's running it, if you get your own members, you get to forego that fee. So it's essentially like a leasing fee. It's just not set, that's just not what they're calling it. It's not set up that way. The Chelsea, another pad split, another Atlanta, Georgia pad split. This one is really, really killing it, right? 1.3%. I mean, this one's been doing well the whole time I've had it. Annual yield, 14.47. The Ratliff, another pad split, Douglasville, Georgia. This is why I'm excited about the Malone, right? Because you can see, okay, most of my pad splits are all in the Atlanta area. I'm glad to find one in a different market. If you just watched my what I bought this week video, you'll see some thoughts on the Malone. I also put the video due diligence video out on it. That should be in this Mogul playlist. Before I forget, please like and subscribe. In the description of this video, I have links to all the places where I'm currently investing in fractional real estate online, including Mogul. They give you some free money when you sign up and buy something, as far as it's a credit towards your first purchase. Please do your own due diligence on the platform and on any of the properties that you buy. Don't just buy them because I do. Obviously, I've bought some that aren't doing great yet. Also, in the description of this video, I have a link set up to the Discord that I've created where we're just talking about fractional real estate investing across multiple platforms. Feel free to join that. Okay, back to this. The Ven. It's another pad split. Little Burn, Georgia. This is still the Atlanta, Georgia area in general. This one, again, back to 100% occupancy. Not doing great because of that fee, right? I think that's going to be anytime we have turnover, it is going to hurt us. It's surprising that it's hurting us this badly to me. I didn't realize, I don't know if there was a lot of turnover or not, but it's, obviously it's a little bit problematic. The Hugo didn't update. We were supposed to get our first one this month. I actually contacted support about this. They said, it was just a stub month. They didn't have a whole month of operations, and so they're actually going to do the first dividend for this next month, not this month. Was a little disappointed about that, but it is what it is. I'm also sure it's not fantastic, right? This is another short-term rental. This one's in, I think, Dallas. Yeah, in Dallas. So my guess is it was a stub month, just a short month, and also probably didn't do fantastic, if anything, right? So we'll see. The Pinkman, this is, Atlanta, Georgia pad split. This is one that was pretty interesting where they did, they had the seller do a bunch of, really do quite a bit of repairs, a decent amount more than we've seen with any other ones. It was like part of the plan going into it. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of different sort of value add structure works out. Fantastic first month. A lot of these have great first months, but you have to pay attention. Part of the reason is that they don't pay debt service in the first month, right? So don't expect this to continue. We're not going to have this 18.18% annual yield forever, because once we throw the debt service in there, this will go down quite a bit. The Gilmore, let's see, how did we do here? Oh, we didn't do so great. Let's see. This is a Tempe, Arizona pad split. I actually have high hopes for this one. So hopefully this is not representative of how we do going forward. Closed at the end of September. Okay, less than a week of operations. Well, all right. So I'm not going to complain about that at all, right? This is why I really like how Mogul is putting out this info, right? Like where I've got detailed, somewhat detailed. I mean, we could always use more details, but I've got financials for each property individually. I get a little note to tell me why it's not performing the way I want it to, or if it was. Maybe sometimes I put notes for other reasons, but I still like the platform a lot, despite having a couple of properties that aren't doing as great as I'd like them to. And again, I think until we have a year plus of numbers, I'm not going to really be sure. Like, okay, how are we actually performing here? The Swift first payout is going to be next month, and that's the last one in my portfolio. So, what was the overall? What am I doing right now for my overall cash on cash return? Annualized 7.94% across the whole portfolio. Obviously, I'd like that number to be bigger. It's really hurt by my, more than 20% of my portfolio is in one property, and that's one that's not doing well. In the future, I'll probably make the same size. That was the very first one that I bought from them. I didn't realize how often they'd be putting out properties, because at the time they just didn't have very many at all. So I was like, I'll just do chunkier investments. But now that they put one out every single week, I wanted to slow down. I've been trying to invest. I think all my recent ones have been around 2,500. I think it's enough that it's worth it. The real small ones, I decided I don't think I should be making. I don't know. I want to pick a number and have that, have basically two numbers. One where I want to buy it, but I'm not super excited about it, and a bigger one where I really like it. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know. This is obviously my strategies have been not very well defined, other than just that I'm trying to do, solid due diligence on every single one. But yeah, this isn't, having one that's just makes up 22.4% of my portfolio and have that one be that's not performing well. Yeah, it's kind of problematic, right? So, sorry about that, right? It skews the data, but that's why I'm going into each one individually. Mogul puts out some numbers around like what they're doing as well, as far as so you can see other ones that you haven't bought into. But yeah, over time, I expect this to smooth quite a bit. I am very much hoping that this number goes up. But honestly, an 8% cash on cash return on something that is 100% passive, I'm not doing anything. And, I'm getting levered appreciation. This isn't like this return is fake because it's dependent on someone else paying a mortgage or something like that. Although it is slightly juiced because of, our negative months are coming out of the reserve. But that reserve, we're calculating the yield on top of that huge reserve that was raised. So I think that it makes me still very happy with the overall performance. Just hopefully the Axelrod gets back on track. If that one does all right, or as I add more larger stakes in properties, hopefully I'll just see a little bit of smoothing there. Anyway, that is my Mogul portfolio update for the month. Until next time, I'm just going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.